Good evening and welcome to the August 7th, 2024 meeting of the Goffstown Economic Development Council. If you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. I see we have a quorum. So the first thing I will do is just get a roll call, starting with Joanne.
I'm sorry.
Just starting a roll call.
Oh, yes.
I got you off guard.
Joanne Duffy, Planning and Economic Development Director.
I mean, that's Dick Bruno, member, assistant.
Vice Chair, there you go.
Vice Chair.
You got it. Chet Bowen, Chair.
Chris Barrett, alternate member.
Jonathan Appley, member.
Charlie Birchmeyer, member.
Kelly Boyer, Select Board Rep.
Great, thank you. Did everyone here get a chance to view the minutes? Any corrections or anything noted? Okay, if not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll motion to approve.
A motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Charlie, motion by John, second by Charlie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. And the first person we have is Miguel Morales, the Economic Development Specialist, Veterans Business Development Specialist, and the U.S. Small Business Administration.
Yes.
So you've got a lot going on.
You ain't kidding.
So, you can feel free to introduce yourself and then let us know why you're here. We'll get going.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Again, Miguel Morales with the Small Business Administration. I've been with the agency almost 34 years.
Oh, wow.
So I've been in New Hampshire since 2004. I worked out of Massachusetts, got transferred up here. My goal is when I'm out and about, I try to stop in every city, at town hall, town managers, economic development, planning boards, just to let them know that we're here to help their business communities on what we actually do. Everyone looks at it like we have a lot of financing, but there's more to it. There's more than financing that's going on. So, go ahead and, okay. So, and this folder that I sent to, passed around with everyone, on the left-hand side, we're gonna talk about financing a little bit. These are all the lending institutes that we deal with in the state of New Hampshire. So, you're probably very familiar with some of these, or all of them, the community banks, credit unions, and national banks. So, we've worked with them very closely. There's more on the other side. Some of them actually, the certified development companies, they do more of the 504 loan programs, and I'll get in touch with that. So behind that, then you'll see a pamphlet on the 7(a) loan program. That's one of our major programs with the SBA. Our loan programs go from $5 million to $5.5 million. When I first started, it was actually maybe $1 million. But years gone by, now it's up to $5 million to $5.5 for manufacturing companies. We consider a small business as one person working out of their home, up to maybe 1,500 employees in a manufacturing company. And it all depends on the sales they do during the year. So the 7(a) program is like our most popular one. There's other entities that fall under the 7(a). We have an express program that will go from 350 and lower. We have one just for veterans on the SBA Express Loan Program. It's for veterans and spouses. And I believe that's from $500,000 and lower. What's different with that is the guarantee fees are waived, just for them. So if this ever tries to go away, it won't go away because it's a law for the veterans and spouses. Then we have the 504 loan program. That's more like if you're buying a commercial building or renovating a commercial building. We have a lending institute that's involved and a certified development company. So the lending institute will guarantee 50% of the loan. The certified development company will guarantee 40% of the loan. You as a borrower, up to 10%. But if you're brand new at the business, they might be looking at 15 to 20% down. And it's a great program because you can use it for buying heavy equipment and stuff like that. It's a great, great program. Microloans. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
There's two that were actually the microloan program. One is called Axion, and that's done online. And then we have the other one, REDC, the Regional Economic Development out of Raymond, New Hampshire. They do the microloan programs. That's $50,000 and less. So if that's anybody that's looking for a small amount of loan, or that might not be bankable, and this is something they could get, and then probably within a couple of years, you know, after having this particular loan, they might be bankable for a larger lending institute. On the other side is our annual reports. As you can see in the bottom there, the amount of loans that we actually did for last fiscal year 2023. On the 504s, the third-party lenders. The third-party lenders are the certified development companies that the 504 loans also. The micro loans, we actually did 11 last year. So it's a great, every year we go up. It's amazing how many loans we actually do throughout the state of New Hampshire. We recognize lenders that do the most loans throughout the state with the SBA. We recognize them. We recognize small businesses too every year in May. It's called National Small Business Week. So whether there's a veteran-owned, family-owned, minority-owned, government contracting, exporting, we recognize them. They have to be nominated to order to receive the awards. On the other side, that you'll see, I think it's amazing with the government contracting part. So if we have a business that's looking into government contracting, we could actually help them with that. In New Hampshire, we normally do almost to $2 billion a year in New Hampshire, just alone. And we break it down, and as you can see there, how many actually goes out to small business, minority-owned, veteran-owned, and service-disabled veteran-owns, and then so on. So if they said there's no contracts going out, this contract's going out. You know? There is a certification process if they want to be as a woman-owned or a veteran-owned. We took over the VA's certification program. The Department of Defense gave it, told SBA to go ahead and do that. It's great. So on that certifiedsba.gov, you can pick a New Hampshire and you can see all the veterans that are actually certified as a veteran-owned businesses in New Hampshire. And we're trying to grow that more and more, trying to get the word out. I talked a little bit about the Small Business Week. As you can see the photos on the right-hand side. And on the back side, it's what's happening and what's events. So we're always doing something. Last month was National Retailers Month. So I will pick like 3 or 4 towns and I will pay visits to businesses that actually had SBA help or an SBA loan program. I work with the Chamber of Commerce, so we'll actually do this together. We'll try to get the media there. It's almost like having a small business Saturday. So, and it's good. They like it. You know, it's a lot of work trying to put this together, but it's a lot of fun. I think one of our major programs, as you can see, is our resource partners. Without SCORE, the Small Business Development Center, the Center for Women Enterprise, and the Veterans Business Outreach, what an amazing group. You know, when I first started here in New Hampshire, they were just only like located in Manchester or the Seacoast or in Dover. Now they're throughout the whole state of New Hampshire. So it makes it easier for an entrepreneur to get that help. So I know like the Small Business Development Center, they have someone up in Cohasset County, in Grafton County, and all the other counties. Same thing with SCORE. Get SCORE, granted SCORE, they cover the whole state. Seacoast SCORE covers the Seacoast and part of Maine also. The VBOC, they're actually out of Rhode Island. They cover the whole New England area, and there's only 2 of them, and they do amazing jobs. But I give them a lot of help because I'm the Veterans Officer for the state of New Hampshire. But if anyone's looking for mentorship, SCORE is the way to go. Business advising, the SBDC, the Center for Women in Enterprise, and the VBOC. They give a lot of business advice. I tell a lot of the small businesses out there, why pay for it if you get it for free? And these guys actually helped a lot of small businesses and very successful with them. And you know, SCORE is a volunteer group. They don't get paid for this at all. They're all men and women business owners. A lot of them are veterans themselves. So the SBDC, the VBOC, and the Center for Women Enterprise, they actually get a grant from SBA to have that up and running. This is our National Resource Guide. We used to have one just for the state of New Hampshire, but they kind of did away with that. We're just going to have a national one that's basically the same information throughout all the states. I just try to make sure when I'm working with a small business, I'll ask them if they're working out of state of New Hampshire, just to make sure they register in those states. For the simple fact, if they get a client that actually owes them money and they want to use a court system, if they're not registered in that state, they can't use a court system. Usually the judge will say, hey, go down the Secretary of State's right down the street, go register your business. And I think you all know, every state's different on the annual fees for the Secretary of State, for LLCs, sole proprietors and stuff like that. The other thing that's great about our resource partners, they have a referral list. So if anyone is actually looking for an attorney, a CPA, or somebody to help them with the books, they have a list. And once they get on the list, they were told right up front, you know, you're working with a small business that's actually starting up, cut them a break. Don't charge them quite a bit, just to help them out. But other than that, they all hold workshops. It's on our district office calendar website. So a lot of the workshops now are free. They've been free since COVID. Before that, there used to be like little fees and stuff like that. But SCORE does a lot of workshops. I do a lot of veteran workshops. I do a program that's called Boots to Business. It's a 2-day program, 4 modules in each day, and I have a presenter for each one. I have an attorney involved, a lending institute, our partners involved. It's basically what you're getting yourself involved in starting a business. You know, things happen, and they don't expect that. We talk about business financing, your own personal financing also. Market research, we push market research quite a bit in a couple days. We talk about government contracting, we talk about exporting. So if you got a business that's looking to do exporting, we can actually help them with that too. So, and that's the only loan program that we actually guarantee 90% of the loan on that. And it's great because a lot of the lending institutes that we're dealing with are lender exporters also. So, any questions?
I have one to
Yeah.
start, if that's okay. So in these mentor programs, SCORE, VBOC, those places, I'm sure you've seen it where someone has a business idea, something, someone
Yep.
around Goffstown has this idea, they want to come in and they hit roadblock after roadblock, which I'm sure you've heard before.
Oh yeah.
I know some of these places, I've never worked with any of these or heard of these, but I know some of them will say, okay, we'll meet with you, we'll have one meeting, develop a business plan. But do you, in addition to that, for someone who has an idea but nothing else, do you have, or any of these have someone who walks them through how to develop a business plan, templates, help them interpret whatever regulations exist per business, that kind of thing?
Yeah, they all have templates for business plans. What SCORE does is they give them a template, have them do it on their own.
Sure.
Then SCORE would sit down with them and cross the T's and dot the I's. They're going to pretend they're the lending institute.
Sure.
So that way, when they do go to a lender, they're going to be more comfortable dealing with the lender, and they're going to have a better knowledge what a business plan actually is,
Yeah.
what it's all about. It's amazing how many businesses will reach out to me and say, hey, I've been in business for 10 years. I don't need a business plan. I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And then they come back to me and say, hey, you're absolutely right, I need help with it. So it's amazing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Morales, on your card, it has Economic Development Specialist listed on there, and we're the Economic Development Committee. So as far as sharing these resources with potential new business entrepreneurs, do you have any advice for us on resources that we can provide to current business owners in town?
They
or-
could actually use our resource partners. They don't have to be new businesses.
Okay, great.
They could be in business for 10, 20 years. Any business issues they have, whether it's they need help with, with their bookkeeping, or they're looking to advertise better, or they want to sell their business, they want to hire or fire someone. Any business issues at all, they're there to help them with it.
Great, thank you. And then a follow-up to that, you had mentioned something similar to a Small Business Saturday, but as someone who's worked with lots of different communities, is there any particular event or resources that have helped with that economic development in smaller communities that you can think of?
Like doing Small Business Saturdays?
Yeah, or just anything that has been particularly useful for smaller towns?
No, we actually have in our office of 3 or 4 different things a month. Like we have Retailers Month. The next month it could be like a bookstore. Not like a big bookstore, one of those, I'm trying to spit that out. We did that the month before. We went around and went to these bookstores and talked to them. And we asked them, what are their issues? What are their problems? What do they have? And majority is hiring someone or workforce housing. And it's housing is really tough, So we're always trying to do something every month. 1 month will be Hispanic Month, the next month will be Black History Month, the next month will be woman-owned business, and so on and so on. Then we have one for South Pacific Asian month. So we're always doing something like that. And sometimes we just, in our office, we're like, hey, it's Valentine's, let's do something for Valentine's. So we'll pick a town, let's say, let's do a Valentine's, shop small, There's a jewelry store, there's a candy shop. Let's do stuff like that.
Well, we would love for you to do that here. But
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. This is a lot of information. So I want to make sure that I'm thinking about this the right way. So if I understand correctly, if somebody that reaches out to you and your group, are there any financial obligations outside of what, loan that they secure with a bank or anything? It sounds like a lot of these services are volunteer. Are there any additional financial obligations or fees or anything that a potential business owner or current business owner would incur from going through?
The only fees they probably see is if they're getting a loan to a lending institute.
Sure.
Other than that, everything else we do is all free.
Okay.
There's no charge for it, unless we're doing something where, with a chamber, they might want to charge something, but we'll tell them, we could be the host, but we're not gonna run it, because we can't charge, we're not allowed to charge
Okay.
for any of our services.
That's what it seemed like. I'm just trying to think of somebody, if, trying to, hey, what kind of help do you need for, making a business plan, and some people being, shy of folks that are coming to try to pitch them something. And then to the chairman's question, so as far as, ongoing support, is that something that you see regularly with business owners that reach out to you? Is there some kind of ongoing relationship or support, or is it a connection? And
Sometimes the businesses will stay with us for a couple of months, maybe a year, then they decide they know everything and they just move on. And we just try to do a follow-on afterwards.
Sure.
Like my Boots of Business, I've been doing that since fiscal year 2013. So I keep in touch with all of them. And I do as a webinar. We used to do it at the Naval Shipyard and Pease Air Base. COVID started, that kind of ruined everything. But now I have it opened up to the whole country, so I get people from all over the country that, that's looking to start. And I'll do like a cohort like the next following year, just to see where they're at. And it's amazing how some of them pay attention and some of them don't. It's like, oh, you know, you really didn't talk about any loan programs. I'm like, yes, we did. How it actually works, you know. No one talked about a business plan. Yes, we did.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of the businesses in Goffstown are using SCORE, especially the newer businesses, to develop their business plans. And I've heard great feedback. I haven't heard any negative from that at all.
Yeah, if anybody wanted to reach out to SCORE and just, you know, if they're working at a certain industry and that's what they want, they can reach out to SCORE and say, hey, this is the industry that I'm doing, this is who I want to speak to. And SCORE will find somebody that's familiar with that industry. Other than that, it'll be just any of the SCORE mentors.
I actually signed up for one in September that the Main Street program is hosting for the small businesses, so I'll be going to that one, so I'll report back.
And I should have mentioned it earlier, but how our loan programs actually work is any lending institute you choose to go to, what we do is we guarantee the loan to the bank. We can guarantee 25% of the loan up to 90% of the loan to the bank. If it's exporting, it's going to more likely going to be 90% of the loan. So
That kind of goes to the question I was going to ask. So I know some people that want to do government contracting, or their main source of revenue with their business is, say, Medicaid or something like that. I know some lending partners would not do that for you because they cannot. There's understandably a process in place where if you're beginning to fail in your business, usually what the lending partner or lending entity can do is have your revenue source bypass you and pay them. But government contracts don't do that as far as I know, and
Right.
Medicaid. So is that where your guarantee comes into place for those kinds of things?
yeah, we. So if a business is looking to get a loan to meet that government contract, we could help them with that. But we want to make sure they understand what the rules and regulations are. They have to be obligated, because if they fail, you know, there's consequences on that.
Fair enough, but I think that's what I'm, so,
Yeah.
but you, in order to get the lender to participate.
But it's finding the
and
right
give them
lender
loan.
that's willing to do it.
Understood, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you, you personally or one of these groups have lenders in mind that they suggest, or do you leave that up to the person looking for the loan, based on the business?
I would actually reach out to, there's a lady in my office that strictly does government contracting.
Sure.
So she would know which lenders are probably the best ones to deal with. And usually your community banks and credit unions are always great to have. They want to keep that business in that community. I tell everyone, if you get a loan, have that relationship with that lending institute. It's very important. If you're having a great time, let them know about it. If you're having a bad time, let them know about it, because this programs, they might know they can actually help you, and they're not there to shut you down,
Right.
you know, and they feel a little bit better about that.
Thank you, I think that's great. That's great to know. Any other questions?
Just a comment, I mean, I way back, I used the SBA, this has come a long way.
Yes.
From that, there's great resources. If somebody was just ready to, you know, having that idea, how would they know about this? Is there, do you publicize it? Do you,
No,
if they went into a lending institution with the.
See, my job, see, what I try to do, is, when I'm out and about, is to stop the different towns and city halls and talk to the economic development, talk to the town manager or the town, administrator, and explain to them what we do to help their business community. That's the only way we could do it. We can't advertise it on TV or anything like that. So it makes it a little tough with us, but I thought after COVID, because before we weren't a household name until during COVID, but it's, believe it or not, there's still a lot of people out there that don't know about SBA and the programs.
So that kind of brings to my question, are there things that we can do? Do we have these resources, available to connect from the EDC or the town's website to refer? Do we have the, are you starting a new business page on the website? Do we have an opportunity
Click, little button you can click.
to include these resources to connect interested folks with SBA and all the services?
I can't say off the top of my head, but when we redid the website, I did include links to lots of the state agencies, but I'd have to recheck to see if info for that one is on there.
It might be worth, us looking at that and just seeing if there's any, brief context so that folks know what, those services are
Yeah.
versus just
Do
the
you guys
link.
have like a poster or something that we could put in somewhere in the town hall or?
No, usually I usually bring up a bunch of resource guides and just, see if we could put them somewhere.
Do they have such a poster, like online or anything?
No, it's just directly rated to our website. If you go to sba.gov/NH, it brings you right to our district office website. Unfortunately, I wish we could do a little bit better on advertising. It's tough, but our hands, it's tied because of rules and regulations.
Do they have a Facebook page?
No, we're not allowed to have
No,
Facebook.
no.
We're on LinkedIn,
Oh, okay.
so we do have a LinkedIn page and Twitter.
Okay.
One question to follow that up. We were talking about connecting to the website. Is there any prohibition from doing that if we wanted to link to SBA?
No, not at all, no. There is a lot of towns that I deal with that actually put our links onto their website.
Perfect.
It's just when it comes, if you're gonna use just our logo,
Yeah.
it's a different story.
I noticed something I got on email today from the Manchester Chamber of Commerce where they were promoting the SBA and they had various sessions
Yep.
that were available. I'm not sure if they were online sessions.
Actually, it's
or-
gonna be done virtual. It's
Okay.
4 sessions, and I've been working with the chambers throughout the state. So, say the whole month of September, I'm working with Portsmouth and Manchester. So every week there's a different topic. The first one is connecting with your SBA partners. The second one is capital, access to capital.
So am I allowed to share that
Yeah, absolutely.
information with
Yeah.
our businesses, even though
Yep.
they may not be members of the
Yep.
chamber?
Yep, so our agreement with all the chambers is hey, you want new members, open this up to free to everyone.
Okay.
Because you might,
Yeah.
get that business hey, I want to be a member of that
Okay.
chamber.
That's good to know. Thank you.
So the third one that we do is government contracting. Then the very last one is an in-person event. So if they do have questions, we can go a little bit more in details with that afterwards, if they wanted to.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
thank you for having me, it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll leave these two here in case.
Sure, yeah, we have two members that didn't make it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good night.
You too.
So Joanne, just for clarity, is this something that you can look into for the website if we
Yeah,
can?
for sure.
Connect.
It might even be there. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't check. I don't check unless I'm looking for something. And Oscar had volunteered to help with putting together something for our web page on starting a business, like step by step. I guess he has experience in doing, I don't know if it's web pages or what, but, and I just haven't been able to connect with him because of everything that's going on with the planning board right now.
Understood.
We're very busy.
Yeah, I understand that. If we can move then to the town of Goffstown volunteers first impressions.
Yes, so we have a meeting. Scott was on vacation, so it took a while to get everything together, but we have 5 volunteers, and they have agreed to be this subcommittee that we're looking to put together this program. It was mimicked after a few that Southern New Hampshire, I'm sorry, no, I keep saying Southern New Hampshire Planning. It's New Hampshire, UNH, New Hampshire Cooperative, did for several towns. One was Derry, the most recent, and I think the most comparable for this town would be Derry. And I didn't send you that one, I sent you one from, I believe it was Dover. But Scott had told me about this one and I took a look at it. And it's basically when someone, drives into your town from any one direction and they're, coming through and they're driving to wherever their destination is, what's their first impression of the town? So the job of the subcommittee is to break it down into various categories like sidewalks, roads, fencing, signage, anything that you can think of that you'd see as you drive along, and kind of rate it, or beyond rating it, saying like what can be improved. And it would become, I guess you could call it somewhat of a wish list, but it would be something that we would like to share the results, the end results, with the select board as maybe something for them to look at, and as we go down the line with budgets and things like that. And some of the things might be as simple as getting a group together to clean up the roadway area. There might be one place in particular that's constantly getting trashed. I can think of a few places. And we do have volunteer groups that do that, but at least to connect better with them and say, hey, could you go out to that spot? Or maybe you can get another volunteer group to join in. So the 5 people who have volunteered, we're having an online meeting next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So if anyone's interested, I could send you an invitation and you could just sit in and listen. Scott's going to go over what his ideas would be for starting out, and we don't need to have like constant meetings. It's more giving the people the information and what we're expecting from them to do, and then going out and having the work done and then compiling everything.
Okay. Do we have to, go ahead.
Is Scott taking the lead on that, and then he does,
Well, he doesn't
brings
want
it back?
to take the entire lead.
No, but what I'm saying is, they're gonna get the information. Will he direct them how to compile it?
Yes.
And present it?
Well, I believe UNH will be the ones compiling it, but they will be the ones to collect it, but also to comment as they go along on what they actually see.
Okay.
Like just something as simple. I know some people have asked for benches in front of their businesses, and just something as simple as maybe they go out and they see there's an area where a bench would be really helpful to people that like to sit in front there and watch people, walk by or drive by. And then it could be something like, oh, there's flooding in this area of my street or somebody else's street, that it's always a problem when it rains, and in the wintertime it ices up, that kind of thing that most times DPW is aware of, but not always.
Does Scott think that 5 volunteers, it seems like a good number, right?
The
Glad you
more,
get 5.
the merrier. At first we had actually thought, if we can get 12 people. But, so far 5, and they're very interested, they sound like they really want to do this. So we started this whole thing, I think it was the beginning of July, and then people were on vacation, and it just was, starting up something in the summer is difficult with people gone, but we finally got a date, and it's online, so they don't have to go anywhere. And Scott's back from vacation. He came back Monday, so we're set to go.
Go ahead, John.
Is the plan to look at a number of areas around Goffstown, like the village and Pinardville, so multiple
Yes.
areas, or, okay.
Yes, not just one area, but like Grassmere and throughout the main corridors.
So Tuesday at 1, are you able to just send a link? Do we have to RSVP for this, or, because we're just sitting in, we're not necessarily contributing, right?
Well, you can do either. If you'd like to contribute, if you'd like to take one of the assignments, that's
Sure.
up to you.
Okay.
I can send you the invitation, because the invitation will have the link to the,
Fair
it's a
enough.
Teams meeting.
Yep.
So I'll
That'd be
send
great.
that out tomorrow.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions on that? No? Okay. So now we go into new business. We're talking about the Goffstown River Advisory Committee appointment. I'm looking to my left.
You are.
Yes.
Well, I think I talked about it in the last meeting,
Yep.
that I was in that small group that came together, just interested citizens about what was happening with the dams.
Yep.
And we made a presentation. Andy Cataret was leading the effort, did a great job making the presentation to the select board.
Yep.
And our thought was to create this commission that would oversee anything that is related to the dams as it moves along. Because we know the state is moving along somewhere, somehow, but the select board obviously they would be directing us, we'd be feeding information back to the select board. So I've done work with that group. I'm interested in doing, but I don't, if anybody else is interested in volunteering, be my guest. But we had a good working group, and I'm not sure how much work will go into it, to be quite honest with you, because I think it depends on what the state hands us and how soon that happens. I don't know. You haven't heard anything more, have you, Julie?
There is, you should all have received this in your packet. It's just a listing of who has been appointed, well, I don't know if they've been appointed, but who has volunteered to be on the...
We did that at our last meeting.
Okay, so they're just waiting for this.
Yeah, well, so we're
Yeah.
the only one, because we didn't have a meeting last month, so that's,
Yeah.
I think, why they...
And the charter for the committee I've also included in your
Thank you.
packet.
Falls, Great Falls, Kelly Falls, okay. So Dick, you've been part of the conversation at a more micro level than here for quite some time. Is there anyone else interested, or do we feel, if you're interested, makes sense?
Do we need
Yeah.
an official?
I was gonna ask Joanne, do we need to vote on this, or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think.
I'll make a
anyone
motion.
nominate?
Yep, nomination.
Okay,
All right.
nomination set by Chris, anyone with a second?
Second.
Second by John. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstain? Great. Okay, thank you
So
so much.
Nobody jumped at it, so...
Nobody jumped at it, it's you. You're great. You're great, thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Dick.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
I have one other thing that's not on the agenda, it's very quick.
Sure.
We received the invoice for the next round of dues for the Greater Manchester Chamber.
Oh,
And Derek wanted you guys to be aware of it. It's for $472. And he just wanted to make sure, like, you were okay with it.
yeah.
paying it.
Does he
I
want to
think-
vote, or is he just,
He didn't ask for a vote. I
Okay.
think he just wants to make sure people are still interested in belonging to the chamber. I think it's really
anyone else,
important.
thoughts? I think it's important as well. Just,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Joanne, a couple of thoughts I just had before we end that I wanted to mention. The SBA, we were able to just post at least link to their website / their LinkedIn through our Facebook, our own social media, right? So that would be good to just do that
Yeah.
as a start, because I think this can be incredibly helpful. I think underestimated how helpful this can be, not by us, but by I think a lot of
Right,
businesses.
right. Especially the smaller ones.
Mhm. And on that same note, if you could email us the time and the place, you may not have it on the top of your head for the SCORE meeting you're going to.
Yeah, I have it on my calendar.
Is that also like an RSVP thing, or could any of us go?
I did RSVP because
Okay.
they said space was limited.
Fair enough, okay. Yeah.
But I'm not sure how limited, and how
Okay.
many people are really signed up for it. I have no idea. Main Street is organizing it. I can find out from them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So the next meeting is on September 4th. Follow up on some of these issues. Anything else anyone want to bring up or make sure we have set for the next meeting? Kelly, I did have a question for you.
Sure.
As we begin to talk about one of the issues that has not been hidden on this council is that we have all these really talented intellectual people, but in between meetings, not a whole lot is able to get done. The planning position is very demanding. So in thinking about ways that we can find at the town resource level, someone that could move the needle in between meetings, when should we start bringing that up, go to the select board, make a case, at least to have it on record that this is what we're looking for?
So you are asking for,
Well,
What
it
are you
was
asking for?
for potentially someone full-time for EDC, specifically to focus on initiatives in between the meetings would be what the ask would be. So at what point, I know that there'd be understandably other questions, what's the cost? What's that all look like? When should we have that put together and ask for time with the select board by, in order for it to even have any sort of impact? Even a yes or no, just so we are aware.
I mean, I would suggest doing that as soon as possible
Okay.
as we start jumping into budget season. Any request for a new position, especially in a default year, will be a
Yep.
very difficult sell. So,
Understood.
I mean, the justification of that is probably the most important part.
Sure.
And then the data around coming up with the cost for salary and things like that would definitely be helpful. But
Okay.
yes, as soon as you can. I mean, we're getting ready to dive in.
Understood.
In the next month, really, so.
So Joanne, I know we did this a little bit last year. We didn't get as far as we wanted to, because I think we were a little bit later on this last year. But if we were to meet again in between the meetings, would anyone else want to join us to really just discuss how to put this together? And then maybe put this on the agenda with something, at least a draft form for next meeting? I can certainly meet with you, Joanne, with figuring out a time, but would anyone else want to join me in doing that?
I would.
Charlie? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And John? Okay.
Charlotte,
Oh, wait.
Sean, and
That's like a meeting though, so
Yeah.
we've got to keep it, but what are the rules, Joanne? We got to keep it down
You
to?
can post a meeting though as a working session.
Oh, okay, let's do that then. So Sarah, Charlie, John, let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's important that when we put it together that we have as much input as possible and have it be as professional as possible so that even though we anticipate that the answer will be no, it'll be,
So you gotta start somewhere.
gotta
something,
start somewhere.
it'll be something for them to really think about.
Yeah, okay, so,
Did we ever answer that question whether it was that was ever asked for in the town before? Any, economic development type person?
like a separate person.
Yeah. Was that ever,
I know we have never had one.
okay.
I don't
didn't know whether there was any kind of proposal that's
So-
hanging around somewhere.
Just to give you, like, what my initial thoughts would be as not only a human resources professional, but also being on the select board for quite a bit of time, is that my first question would be exactly what you're having difficulty completing in between meetings. And all of our partner programs that we work with, like UNH Cooperative Extension, Southern New Hampshire Planning, what things in particular are we able to lean on those resources a bit more to find a middle ground that works? Or do you know what I mean, like that justification for why I would start chipping away first at options for things that aren't cost impactful. So just to give you guys that food for thought, that would be my very first question that I would ask you. What have you explored
too.
for other resources, other opportunities, and then clearly laying out the things that need to get done that aren't currently being done.
okay. Okay, so we can discuss those things as well as cost and everything in the meeting in between, and then come back with a draft. So I think that'll work. So I think, Joanne, if you just email us, just us, and
Okay.
we'll come up with a couple times. My schedule can be flexible if I prioritize things. How about,
So if it's a working session, anybody could join?
I can post it,
Available,
yeah. Yep, yep,
Depending on what it is.
great. So we'll do that. Anything else at all before I adjourn?
Should we come prepared to the working session with information like positions from other towns, duties that they might be, like maybe we can all bring.
We have some of that
Yeah,
that we've
I
already
think,
looked
yeah,
at,
we
which is
have
great,
that.
including salary information, what they've done, and we have successes and failures, I think, from some towns that
Yeah.
we've seen, so we should look at all that, I think so, for sure. Yeah.
I remember you did some.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by John,
Second?
second by Chris, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, great. Meeting adjourned, thank you.